We're at the A.M. Pearson Historic Park in Omeo. It's behind me here. It's also known as the Justice Precinct. The Omeo Historical Society have cared for this site for 52 years, and since 1995 it's been our pleasure to have one of our members as living caretaker, Jeff Cooper. This has been a great opportunity for the park to be open every day for visitors. Jeff has been able to provide tours around the town when the buses have come, as well as out-of-hours tours as required. This is our opportunity to show and allow him to tell some of his stories about what happened in the park. Let's get on with it. Thank you very much, Jeff, from the Society and from the community.
I'm Jeff Cooper, and I'm basically the head cook and bottle washer in this little establishment. I started back in before 1850 when a lot of people came in looking for gold. The problem was only probably lucky 1 in 10 ever found any decent gold. The rest of them did it very hard. So therefore there was a lot of people getting arrested. There's 5 buildings here in this area, and they're all law enforcement buildings. The first thing is the courthouse, and then you don't have to walk very far to see the jail itself. So there's an awful lot of history stuff in a very small space. I came through this town, I would call it a town, in 1956. When I started work as a 17-year-old in the Snowy Mountains. And I stopped at the service station over here, and dear old Les Burke was chatting away to one of the locals, like country people do. And I'm walking up and down, and he said, "You look like you're in a hurry, young fella." And I said, "I am, really." He said, "Well, don't come to Omeo if you're going to be in a hurry." First thing is the view. Doesn't matter which way you drive into Omeo. Omeo's in the valley. It looks nice. And just a hoop and a holler out of town, you've got, well, one of the biggest alluvial goldfields in Australia. I used to come in here when we first joined the society. There's no gold here anymore worth grabbing. I kept a record of everybody that came through the park. This is 94. There was quite a few people every day. Probably 25 to 30 people a day in this time of year. This is the best time because people can come up here and it's still a bit sunny, and then there is snow if they want to see it. The Oriental claims, well, that should be more popular than it is. It's just that people don't like walking. They like to be driven around. We opened up the Shire yard down there that put some of the machinery that came in from people out in the farm. And Squires was the last one in 1983, I think, was the last policeman that was permanently in here. So they had the police office in the front and they lived in the back here. The purpose of this place, it was the official place where the community sorted out its differences and issues. Then they decided to build the new police station at the back. So this became more or less not obsolete, but it was a great place for the Historical Society. In the old days, I'd be looking through the court books mainly, files that we've got here, so I can do some research for you. A.J. McDonald's design building, very unique, and he was one of the youngest architects to work for the Victorian government. Beautiful old building.
This is a lovely building.
I don't particularly like the new colour scheme so much.
Sally likes the old pale blue too.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the original colour either, the duck egg blue.
Oh no, it certainly wasn't. This is the correct colour. The conservator has found the correct colour, the original one. So that, you know, it's okay. It's quite impressive, really.
It is.
We're in what we call, as Jeff said before, the new courthouse, the 1893 courthouse, but up the back in what was called the museum, because it was the main place of display, is actually the old courthouse of 1858.
And that's a much smaller building, brick. 2 little rooms at the back where the magistrate used to sleep in one and have his kitchen in the other one, and then have court in the same place. And it stayed like that for quite a long time.
Which coincides with law and order coming to Omeo. Before that, it was the roughest and toughest of the goldfields, wasn't it?
Well, it was. When you go on figures, of course, yeah.
And as you said, there was 10,000 people in the area at one time, and on Friday and Saturday night they used to come into town.
Yeah.
These files are thought to be those used by Joseph Fisher to remove the handcuffs from the outlaw Jimmy Lee, January 1868.
Yeah.
So Max Dyer had something to do with this?
Yeah, yeah, well, me and Max and Max's son went down to Fisher's hut.
At Wayne Dyer?
Yeah. Took us a while to find out where the hut was. And Max had just bought one of those
metal
detectors. And in the middle of the hut, about nearly a foot deep, was what was a chamois leather in the old days, but that had got dried up and everything. And these files were in it because evidently Jimmy Lee escaped from Swiss Creek or Swiss Creek, and came through Omeo down to the Wombat, still handcuffed. And the story goes that he managed to get across the Middle River there, up to Joseph Fisher's, and Fisher used these 3-cornered files to cut the handcuffs off for him. And Jimmy Lee disappeared and has never been seen.
As we can see here, these are indeed triangular files.
Oh yeah.
And they were triangular files.
Yeah, and they were found in the...
And they were found in roughly the correct spot?
In the correct spot.
Where they theoretically might have been hidden?
Yeah, well, the hut was only, I think, well, we marked, it'd be lucky if it was 3 paces by 3 paces. It wasn't a big hut.
Yeah,
it was only a temporary hut where Fisher used to camp when he was looking after the sheep. And as I say, Jimmy Lee was on the back of a horse when Sergeant Steele was taking him across the Midder.
Yes, that's a point that he was under arrest and he was being taken in custody.
The story was that he got washed off his horse, but in truth be known, Jimmy jumped
himself off
the horse and then got up the bank to Fisher's hut, and Fisher cut the handcuff. It's strange that we've never been able to find out whatever happened to Jimmy Lee after that.
He completely disappeared.
Yeah, they reckon he went up north and got piled up with Sydney Kidman.
Oh, right.
And obviously Kidman took him in, and the rest is history.
Keeping on the subject of out there and Max Dyer.
Yep.
You again went out with Max and Wayne, was it, at the time?
When I found that, no, we went with Lois Crisp
Lois.
And a few others.
Lois is still a member of the Historical Society, and she's 93 now.
93.
And she's been a member of this society for its entire history since it became a community community group in 1973 after having been formed in 1964 by the Shire of Omeo. So it became a community group. Lois Crisp was nominated as the Swiss Creek representative by John Armott from Bindi, and yeah, so fantastic. Now this is Red Harry's grave, and tell us about how that came about and how you managed to pick this up, which is a broken cast iron, vitrified on the inside pot.
Just a cooking pot, really.
Maker's mark.
Everybody had one in there.
And we've just marked it from Red Harry's grave. So how did that come about?
Well, the story goes, once again, Uncle Mac started this looking for Red Harry. Red Harry, I'm trying to think of his proper name, but it doesn't really matter. Everybody knew him as Red Harry. He had a sluicing claim down on the Middle River. And Red Harry was down there for a number of years, and he had took a bark off trees and left it down the bank a bit, and he'd shovel the gravel into that and wash it down to get gold out of it. And he was there for a long time, Red Harry. The policeman from Benambra was told that they heard that old Red Harry down on the Meadow was sick. So the copper thought he'd go down and check him out. So he rode down from Benambra, which probably would have taken him 40 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that. And Red Harry was in his little humpy in the chair and looked very, very sick. So the coppers decided to go back and get help to come and pick him up. And Red Harry's dog was tied up next to him. So the copper thought, oh, let the dog off so he can have a drink while I go back to Benambra. And when they got back from Benambra, the dog had chewed half of Red Harry's leg off. We knew that Red Harry was buried there. When the coppers came back with people, they didn't bother because the dog had made a mess of his leg. So rather than carry him back, they buried him where he was. And where they buried him was where the slab hut roof came down. It wasn't a roof like a normal, it was just a lean-to sort of roof. And that's where the fireplace was. So obviously the water had run down the roof and it was reasonably soft there, easy digging. So we figured that's where they would have buried him if they buried him anyway. And the police report said that the sergeant shot the dog when they came back because the dog was in a bad way, and buried the dog. So when I found this heap of stones, I was shifting stones and that's what I found, that pot. So I figured this must be where the fireplace was. I found a couple of bones and I thought, it looks like chicken bones. Obviously it was a dog. So all we could do is put it back together again, and we scooped everything back in, piled rocks on it, and I thought I'll take that back as a souvenir for the Historical Society just to prove that Red Harry was there. When it was busy, like in the winter time, I used to go down at 5 o'clock in the morning and light the fires, so that when the clerk of courts came up at 9 o'clock, the place was reasonably warm. I would have done it probably 4 or 5 times a year, every year. I put a couple of big logs in there, and once they got going, and then of course you got all the coppers standing around, a lot of hot air coming out of them. The copper from Bairnsdale, big fella, he stand like this here, and nobody else could even see the fire. I could see the batwing doors, I can see the jury room and all our gazettes, which Lance Pilgrim would be up there, Kristen or Tony Ward would be down here, and Buckley and a few of the others, Ken Conley, that'll be sitting over there waiting their turn. Oh yes, it was quite busy, I remember distinctly the magistrate, after about, I think this was the 3rd case, over about 6 months that Buckley had been in for not voting. And this lady magistrate came from over near Ballarat or Bendigo. She turned and she said, "Mr. Buckley, how low will I have to make this fine before you'll pay it?" He said, "You could offer me $5 and I'd still refuse." Christensen was the prosecutor, and it was a Buckley case too. I'm trying to think what he was up for. It wasn't for voting this time. I might have been for flying. I think it was flying too low over the water. We used to go from here and we'd fly up over Kosciuszko and scare all the walkers that were walking up to Kosciuszko. Chase a few of the brumbies around, then drive down into Jindabyne, have coffee or Jindabyne, then come back home again. And I think because the law is that you can't land in another jurisdiction without a permit. So of course he didn't have a permit, so they put him in court, but nothing happens. It was only good fun more than anything else. It was great for tourists because there's quite a big space down there where people can come in and sit and watch. He rang me up out of the blue and said, "I'm Ross Gibbs from Public Records Office. We're thinking of doing something for the 1956 Olympic Games. Would you be interested to help us out?" And I said, "If anything we can do, we will." And he said, "That's what we need, a venue." I said, "Something like a courthouse?" He says, "Exactly like a courthouse." We had something like 600 children come in the first week. And it was probably one of the most successful things we'd done. And as I say, the director of Public Records thought it was the greatest thing they'd ever done. Thomas Toke was probably one of the most notable men in the district as far as criminals go. He was only, I think he was 14 when he was first arrested in London for stealing. And then in those days, they were sending him out to here like flies. He got to Sydney Cove, as they call it. So he beat up a couple of people and they sent him to Norfolk Island. Put in solitary confinement in Norfolk Island for months and months. Anyway, he finally got a ticket of leave again to come back down to Port Phillip. And he joined up with a few guys on the way down and ended up stealing horses, selling in one place, so on and so forth. But when he hit Omeo, he really came into his own because he ended up in quite a few cases. The court books here have got him all over the place. But he had a little store and he was in court often for people suing him because they'd paid him for stuff and he hadn't delivered it. Then the next minute he's suing somebody else because he's delivered stuff and they haven't paid for it. And he had a reputation of being a nasty person. And two people that were murdered in the area here, both of them were done with a hatchet. Yet he never got caught. Well, you know, he got caught, but he never got tried for it. One was Cornelius Green, and the other one was Soames Davis. Yeah, well, when Ben used to come in, we'd show tourists and bounce off each other with little stories about the old days. And we figured the idea is if we're going to have a busload of tourists come in here with 30 or 40 people on,
You looked the part.
we looked the part. And it worked very well. People could, you know, they'd say, "Oh, come to Omeo, there's prisoners up there.
There's a couple of old blokes having a bit of fun.
A couple of old blokes having a bit of fun, yes. I say Ben would take them around to the blacksmith shop that way, and I'd take a few of them up this way. And there were so many things here to look at.
You tell them the history of the log jail and how it's original and everything.
Yeah. And there are 3 cells in that jail. The 2 end cells are for men, and the middle one is for women. With the men in, they were the first ones to be fed in the morning, because the kitchen was made so they could feed them. Then they would go out and work. Most of them would go out on the roads and pick, crush rocks and that to make the roads. The next cell would be either older men or people that are not exactly fit. They would be around town picking up rubbish. Then the 3rd one was for the women, and they would go cleaning, Golden Age, Wreck Reserve, Police House, and that sort of stuff. So it wasn't just a prison where people were just locked and left them. No, you had to work, and they got paid. 21 days, I think, was about the maximum in here in those days.
So you had to work for your keep?
But you still had to work for your keep, yeah.
There's an interesting thing with this jail that because the logs were green.
Oh yes.
And they shrunk.
Shrunk.
So this is the only jail that's lined on the inside with blackwood, because as the logs shrunk, people were passing messages through the gaps. Isn't that how the story went?
Sort of. Messages and other things through the gap.
This jail made the newspapers in Melbourne when the last person that was locked up in there in 1981.
Yep.
And they said the appalling conditions.
What do they call it? A rat-infested place or something. And the government should pull it down. Pull it down.
But fortunately, we saved it.
Well, fortunately for everybody else that they saved it.
There was another item that we used to have in here that had a bit of history to it, and that was the bell. What was the history behind that?
Oh, a lot. That's the only one that I've seen that's cast. Most of them would have the date, either with a hammer, or a grinder or something, and this had it cast in the actual bell. Okay. 1892. It was made specifically for the Omeo fire station. And they had a little tower, the photograph show, really good. Yeah. Little tower, and the bell sat up there. It was the second one made in Australia. The first one was made for the Shire Council in west of Melbourne somewhere. Right. And then I don't know why, they've got an Omeo one from there, but they did.
So what do you want to do from here? You want to go up and have a look in the machine shed?
If you want.
Very good.
I'm not a tourist, you don't take me around.
You know your way.
I would love to have a horse here to shoe for you, Michael.
Yeah, this shed here, we got a few old bullock wagons for carting hay and other things around the farms. There's numerous ploughs of different types. Got the 4-wheel one and the 2-wheel one.
No, the 2-wheel one I'm looking for. That was the one we towed up to the hilltop, because I remember I took the wheels off it and took them down to the swimming pool and tied a rope on them and threw them in the swimming pool for 3 months.
Did you?
So that all the timber on the wheels would swell up.
Yeah.
And then we got it going. That's the one we towed up to the hilltop.
These were graders, weren't they?
Yeah, they were on the Corryong Road. Cliffy Bramwell used to run that.
All sort of farm implements.
There's a few ploughs here too, and scrapers, and a washing machine. They came out in the 20s, what I would say.
Plunge?
That's a modern one. And there's a big story behind this. But Uncle Cole Pender used to tell me when I first came here, when he was a boy, used to drive this to Bruthen with a load of wool on, and then a load of timber or something on the way back. He reckoned that halfway up the gap by where Bruce Cummins lives now, you could look down the floor and the exhaust pipe was red. First gear They reckon them 3 miles an hour. There is a place, you can see it from the window here, halfway up Mesley, where this new bike track's coming down. There's a place up there called the Twisted Tree, and it's a tree that's really a snow gum that's got twisted. People used to walk up there on the weekends for picnics. I haven't seen anybody walk up there in 20 years. People don't do it now like the old days. But I often think, I sit out here on the veranda and look at that's Mount Mesley in front of us. And what used to go on there in the old days. You know, there'd be people fossicking for gold in the creek, up and down the hills. I'm afraid I always thought that I would spend my days sitting in a deck chair out here, talking to children. Tourism may pick up. Most of them are, you know, yahoos on bikes trying to kill themselves, but even if 1 in 10 happens to stop, as the history-wise, that'll do.